Good morning and welcome to today's live stream. I'm sorry that I have been away. My whole wall has been ripped down for the entire week, and that happens to be the wall where the Wi-Fi is. So I had really no opportunity to have a good stream, have a good way to make a video for you guys, but I tried to pump that out as soon as possible yesterday as we were seeing some interesting signals here today. Now it is here on a 30-minute chart. You can see the downward move, right? So I like to pay attention to 30-minute charts just to see, but we do have some room to the downside for that pullback. And that's something that I think was a keynote from yesterday. Yes, we have a small range, so something crazy was, it's still 68% chance, but when they're so tight, if you can get that price action out of it early on, we could see something crazy early on. And that's where we really want to pay attention to the hourly signal. I think this hourly signal here is going to be very important. Now we need to also discuss something because I missed out. I want to discuss, as you're coming in, make sure to leave a like for the channel, but I wanted to discuss that 50 basis points. How are you guys feeling about the 50 basis points? All right. Good morning, part-timer. It felt like I was this week. My overall take on this, I want to know what you guys think, so put your comments in the chat, but I'm going to tell you guys my point now. What have we said for weeks now? What have we said for weeks and weeks and weeks now? We have said, they said 0.25, and in the history of the Fed throughout this whole cycle, I would say the past couple of years throughout the rate raising and the cutting and all that, holding steady, they have not veered too much from what they have said they are going to do. They haven't done that. This is the first time, and thank you so much, Too Dang, for subscribing, but this is the first time that they have really just fully reacted and said, hey, we're going to raise by 50 basis points. And then I watched Jerome Powell talk, and he's still saying the same points, which tells me that I don't think he's necessarily your friend. It does tell me that we could have that soft landing narrative still in, and we could need some kind of, I was watching actually a little bit, I just wanted to hear his take on it, FX Evolution this morning, just to see what he thought about the race. And he overall talked about a celebration period for the soft landing, and that's why in our video is very key to watch the whole video to make sure you at least made it to the cues where we kind of talked about, hey, this can still go higher, right? Apple was turning up and we can still go higher. This is just the signal that we're seeing at this moment. So this can be really, really bad. This can roll over those 4 hours. This can start to roll back down dailies. This can really get ugly. But if that would just turn back around, what would you have? You'd have a simple swing trade. So this does mean to me, as far as my take goes on it, I was kind of like, if they cut by 25 basis points, okay, they're doing it steady. Most likely we can leak this out for another 12 months. But because they actually raised by 50 basis points, I think that really speeds up the cycle a little bit. And we have to be aware of something bad happening either right now in this current moment, pretty much like with these type of signals, or this could maybe leak into 2025 if we get that celebration period. If we're able to pull down, maybe pull down dramatically, because September and October, we do still see volatility, and we're able to really scope that out over time. That is something to pay attention to. Now, if we look on the daily scale, I think it'd be easier to talk about this on the daily scale. That would overall mean, oh, this is going to be bad for September, for October, and then we get into November and we start to carve out some good structure to head higher. We get that euphoria, and then we go into something like a March territory or something in 2025. That is how I think this could play out. And then I would say going past that is a little overzealous. I would say going past most likely 6 to 8 months from now would be interesting. We will pay attention to the signals. Obviously, we will be following the signals. We trade like water on this channel, right? So we're going to be a part of that move. But as of what I'm seeing right now and how I'm thinking about these rate cuts, I'm thinking exactly what we talked about for weeks now. They are reacting. They are changing their tone for some reason, even though they're telling you we're not changing our tone for any reason. We just wanted to cut a little more. You need to understand there is a reason they made the decision to cut by 0.5. And that tells me, what if something is breaking behind the scenes? It tells me to pay close attention to any unemployment reading, any jobs data. Jobs data can be fudged, but pay attention to the revisions, and then pay attention to the signals as well. So even on this daily time frame, we still have to pay attention to the signal here, right? Because the SPY is at a higher high, the Qs are not. So if they fall flat and this thing rotates down, where's it going to be? Negative territory. That could get bad if we break through some channels here. That hasn't happened yet. All right, that hasn't happened yet. This hasn't really solidified, like maybe double top and then we break down and then can we scoop back up? That's what I'm really just trying to convince people to be like open to both sides. Open to both sides is a great thing. You just follow the signals. If the daily curls down here, that's not a good thing. But then if the daily went like this and then curled right back up, right, we did it pretty quick, then that would be a good thing. And it's good to be a flip-flopper. We trade like water on this channel for a reason. It really helps us out. Long time no see. I'm sorry that I was gone. I'm really kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to, but it did give me some time to refresh and kind of give I'm one of those people that I don't like it when everything's stagnant forever. So the little changes I'm making to the thumbnails, make sure you guys, by the way, 56 of you, I would really appreciate 56 likes or 60 likes this morning, because that thumbnail could throw some people off, but I just like to, I don't know, I have ADHD, so I really like to change my stuff, and I know that's very bad from a marketing perspective. I'm a marketer, and it's you know, I worked in marketing for years. That's not necessarily the right thing to do, right? Consistency, but I was like, let's give a more professional look going forward, have some fun with it, just make it really clean, and I want you guys to make sure to like these videos so other people know that those changes have been made. A little less memey, little less Jerome Powell, you know, clownness on there. We all know I think he's kind of a clown, but that's okay. He's smarter than me. Maybe he knows what he's doing. Who knows? I don't think he does. I think he does know. Actually, that's not the way to say it. I think he does know what he's doing. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think he's told to bait people in so he can keep his job, because he's going to act like, whoa, this was totally unforeseen, even though we reacted by double the amount we were going to cut. By the way, just so you know, like, you really want to take it in perspective. They were thinking about cutting 0.25. Really take that into consideration. That's the way to think about it, by the way. That's the way to think about it, by the way, is they were going to cut by 0.25 because everything was dandy and soft landing, quote unquote, which we're not going to have. You might see a soft landing for a period of time where people think it is, and then we get a hard one. But for the most part, you need to think of it like this. They were thinking of cutting by 25 basis points. For some reason, over the last couple of weeks, they doubled that. Doubled. That's interesting, isn't it? So that's what we have to watch out for. Happy quad witching. We got some interesting stock market behavior. This move is a positive gamma move, by the way. So as you look into shorter time frames, like a 30-minute, you'll notice you're still not like the closest to the center line. So you can get curl ups from this. I want to be clear about that. Now, I'm still leaning towards, I think this might be some kind of trap. I think the dollar is trying to bottom here. We see these type of signals all the time across these. We see these 2-hour signals here. That 2-hour has crossed. If we can start to gain some momentum here for the dollar, you notice the 4-hour divergence, big, steep divergence here. The dollar should be really breaking down if we're going to all-time highs. If we're going to all-time highs, we should easily be taking out this level. That's not happening, right? People are still holding their cash for some reason, and that's where you want to pay attention to if momentum shifts to the upside. So I hope everything we're talking about is a lot of fun, because we do see opposite signals towards volatility. You have a 4-hour divergence there, but I really like this 2-hour that's popped up here. It's kind of flat on this RSI a little bit, but it's very steep on the MACD. The reason I like this 2-hour one is because when I go into a 30-minute for volatility, and we just showed you there are some reversal signals on the hourly and 30-minute for the SPY to get at least some kind of pullback, well, we can see volatility is not breaking down. It's actually coiling, able to taper here, really holding this signal while at the same time as the SPY. So if you are new here, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you being here this morning. And one thing we pay attention to on this channel is when we see a signal from the VIX and we see a signal from the SPY at the same time. Those are two indications at the same time that can lead you to believe, okay, volatility is about to pop. That is why going into today, I'm actually creating a small volatility position at these levels. I would love to see what just Joe has out there for volatility for us, but it's just a time to pay. The reaction from the rate cuts does mean something bad is most likely going to happen, but it doesn't mean we can't see a euphoric move, right? It doesn't mean we can't see another euphoric move higher, which we've already gotten one, so maybe we get a pullback and see another one that leads us into a bull run into 2025. That is possible, but it's equally as possible that we're going to see something bad very soon, as in the next like 30 days or so going into October. Thank you so much for welcoming me back, guys. Adventures with Shogun Solo. Hi, how you doing? If you play the upside of the VIX, what option ETF do you use? I like to take short-term plays, okay? So I'll take a longer out expiration. If I'm doing an option play, I will take a longer out expiration on UVXY, but I will not hold that option for usually more than like a week. So if that play is not coming out within like a week, then I will, lick my wounds. But for the most part, I do like UVXY. Plenty of people in the chat do have other things that they like. I suggest if you like to play volatility, help our buddy out here this morning and tell him what plays you like to make if you're trying to trade volatility. Maybe he could go take a look, he or she. Great morning, Can't Get It Right. I hope everyone's doing well out there. I actually had some pretty good trade setups, and it's a good thing that I think before the week started, really, we actually did get to talk about these signals down here, right? The double bottom, and we called this to a T. We called this spot on, which is very, very cool. You can even go back to this date and look for Wednesday morning where we talked about how the SPY was going to come down and test this level while the Qs were going to go test that daily expected move. And then that's exactly what happened. So we got the double bottom for the SPY. We got the higher low for the Qs. Qs see a good run. The cool thing about that was we had some hints, okay? We had some hints across the way that this was still going to be an upward move. 30-minute crossed up. What happened? It never curled back down. Now, I took profit in this area, and then I played a little trade setup right here. So I did take a little play right in here, kind of added to that play, took the little bounce, took my money and ran. Kind of a little like scalp because I thought there would be some kind of gap up there. But so far, this has really led us to believe there could be more upside. As of right now, if this post of the morning here, you're seeing there's a tiny bit of red there. So that 30-minute curling down can make a divergence. That's something we'll pay attention to for NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been something that we've watched very closely, and it has really helped us out in seeing, hey, can this market go higher from here? Well, NVIDIA is showing a great signal. NVIDIA is a big stock, so that thing can go higher. Apple is showing strength still, so that can go higher. Even if it gets a 30-minute pullback, you see how high up it is on this MACD. All right, so there's a lot of things we can pay attention to. The market is opening up. You'll notice that the SPY is below its daily expected move. We talked about that last night, how these are very tight. And so you have to be open when they are tight too. A dud day is the most likely thing, but going into something like options expiration, well, we could see some madness because maybe people were caught off guard by this move. And we know that they were slightly caught off guard by this move. Why? Because we came outside of the weekly range. All right, I think I've chatted. Hopefully you guys understand how I feel about those rate cuts at this point. We will be talking more about that over the weekend. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel because on Saturdays we go through bigger time frames, right? During the week, we're looking for those moves. We're looking for those signals on the shorter time frames. On the weekend, we do like to go over the bigger ones, okay? And welcome. I think we got some subscribers that came in last night with yesterday's video. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much for liking that video and getting it to where it is. I really appreciate that from my community here because we did get some new people, and I think that's great. If any of those new people want me to look at a stock, please shout it out. We will take a look at it this morning. As it looks like Dave wants to go look at some PayPal. Let's go look at some PayPal. All right, PayPal. Now, this is a big thing, okay? As you look at a 30-minute, whatever chart you're on, you want to still do some analysis. I mean, honestly, you want to always be creating all those scenarios on every time frame to really help you out, and you might even write it down, right? I used to really write things down. I still write some things down to this day with my trades, what I'm going to do, how I should react, right? I don't want to forget because I look at a bunch of stocks, so I will write 30-minute chart. This is what I'm looking for. This is how I'm going to react. 2-hour chart. This is what I'm looking for. This is how I'm going to react on that select stock. So for PayPal, we notice it is curling down right here on the shortest time frame I like to look at, the 30-minute. What does that tell us right now? Well, the MACD is very positive. So listen to how I'm going to think about my indicators, right? This is overbought. This is very, very high up. So this crossing down is what I want to be aware of for a trade setup. What would that trade setup look like? Well, if it's going to be bullish, that trade setup would just be this gets down by the center line. We get some kind of pullback over time, and then we curl back up into positive territory. We see that curl up and these two things cross, and everything's good, kind of like right here. We got overbought. We went down to the center line for the RSI, right? That's that 0 or that 50 line. And then we curled back up. We curled up into positive territory, never curled back down. never curled back down. So that is a big deal. Sorry, you guys know I hiccup in the morning. But does it mean I want to YOLO into something right now? Well, no, this is not the time to YOLO into something right now. This is the opposite time of going into something as far as this signal looks. So as far as it goes with the 30-minute for PayPal, I see the most likely thing to happen is we pull back in some way and then we cross up. That's most likely because this is so high up on this MACD. All right, now as we go into bigger time frames, the story can change, right? We could see a bigger overall pullback, maybe all the way down to fill these gaps down in here to retest the breakout area. Now, why would we want to retest the breakout area? Well, because at that breakout area, did we gear up and then see that good structure and then make that move and then kind of sideways out and then make it? No, we just did it. Right? We did not form the correct structure in here to head higher. We got excited. So we might need to retest that level or even retest that level where the handle should have got, which I think is somewhere around 71.61. So you could see about 5 points down if this 2 hour can cross. But that is most likely still going to be a possible trade to the upside because we are so positive on this 2 hour, right? Even if that 2 hour crossed, we came down to this area and then we crossed back up, that still would be in positive territory. I'd be careful with shorting things that are really seeing a reaction based on those cuts, right? Those cuts are happening. Most likely that is some kind of flight to safety for the time being, and that will subside. But for the most part, you got things like Bitcoin, you got things like gold, you got things like silver all popping off right now. The key thing is obviously to pay attention to the signals, because the signals are going to tell you if that stuff is kind of coming down. Something we can look at is GLD. We're seeing another upward move, right? We keep getting the reversal signals, and then what happens? Well, break to the upside, we go up, right? And then we keep going up. But now you have actually a reason to pay attention, okay? This 2 hour does have divergence here. It's pretty damn steep. So right here, we paid attention, we based out, we curled back up into positive territory, boom, positive move. Awesome. Now we're creating another signal. Are we too excited here? That's something to pay attention to. And then shortly after that, if you're going to see more than just a 2 hour pullback, right, then you are going to see a daily cross down. The thing about the daily crossing down here is you've had this flatness, this divergence, this overall flat divergences all the way across this thing for a long time. So gold can experience weakness soon. And that will be interesting because are people rotating out of things they see as safety and getting more into things like stocks, right? Are they getting into tech stocks? What are they getting into? So we'll see if that has something to say. Right now, we do have some reversal signals from the SPY, so I think that would be the one to pay closer attention to on the shorter time frames, but gold is one to pay attention to if it curls down on a daily chart. I'm not even going to pull up a 30-minute. I still like my 30-minute charts here. So we have curled down, so the most likely thing is to continue to go down, but it is OpEx, right? We have options expiration, so we could see some interesting things throughout our day. While you're at an hotel motel, your house is in repair, you play with the crash via my sexy vixen. That's what I was saying just, Joe. I was just talking about the VIX and how there are reversal signals here. Are you seeing the same thing? I literally said like 10 minutes ago, I was like, I wonder what just Joe is thinking about volatility this morning. Because I'm seeing some reversal signals on a 30-minute and a 2 hour at the same time. And then I'm seeing similar signals of reversal to the downside for the SPY. So yeah, I'm really looking at UVXY for the most part right now and saying, hey, can this thing hit something like 32 again, right? Can this really see that big move up? That's what I'm paying attention to for the most part there. Yeah, so very interesting stuff. It's cool to see it at the same time as the SPY making some kind of signal here. So just got some UVIX just waiting. Yeah, and it's just, hey, you know, and all you want to do if we're doing volatility, right? If we're having volatility plays, it's good to pay attention to the SPY as well, because what does it mean if the SPY is curled down here and then curls back up? Well, if it's in positive territory, then that means we could possibly test this high, go make a new one. That would make sense for September, right? We have our September monthly expected move. All right, so these monthly expected moves are pretty good. That's how we had some added things to our trade, right? That gave us another reason for a trade down here. Looks good. Martin, good morning. Thoughts on TLT? TLT, I think, has extreme weakness behind it now. I think it does. Now, I think you have the opportunity to retest some levels here, maybe 99.82, but weirdly, though, we're getting the rate cut. Maybe they maybe people priced in too much of a rate cut, and that's why you're seeing this reaction. The reason TLT doesn't look good to me is the daily scale. So I actually did take out my, you guys know I invest in TLT at down towards 82.50, got back in this area right, and actually it was this area right here. We see the upside move. Now I see daily divergence, so I've already reacted to this. I actually took a short play on TLT just a couple days ago. I already sold out of that play at my 98.89 level. We didn't reach it, but we went down enough. I made like 120%, so I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'll chill. I'll wait and see if that can curl up, maybe on a 30-minute, right? Maybe a little 30-minute curl up, or maybe even a curl up on the 2-hour that then leads to us falling down again. I'm just a little bit cautious with the playing downside for TLT just because of the rate cut narrative. Obviously, if rates go down, TLT will then go up. So that's what I want to pay attention to. But I do think there is a big daily reversal signal for TLT here, which will be interesting going into this narrative. That's why I don't want to mess with it anymore. I was like, it's a good trade. I'm going to make some money out of it. Now I'm going to wait and see what happens, wait for the curl up, get my investment back in business. Yeah, I can show the set numbers real quick. I'm pretty sure they're just basic numbers here. 14, close, SMA 14.2. That's for the RSI. If you do see it differently, make sure down here that you don't have extended trading hours on. I like to use regular trading hours. Check silver. We'll check SLV. I do like SLV when I do look at silver. One thing to pay attention to here is you do have divergence, and I'm going to guess that because the 2-hour looks a little wonky here with it, the hourly is going to be the one. And you kind of see, it's not even that wavy. Maybe it is the 30-minute. Yeah, 30-minute. If that thing crosses down, you can see how it's like, okay, we needed to maybe base out a little bit here before we break out. If that curled down here, I would say we are looking into more of a 2-hour to pull down, right? To pull down a little bit further. Maybe we pull back into these levels here where we saw this wick, 27.26. And then if we're not able to hold up there and we go negative, I'd look at the bigger time frames. Missed you too, Lizard. Thank you guys for showing up. 145 people in here. It's our stream back after my construction. My house. By the way, I had no idea the construction was happening at my place. I really didn't. They kind of just called us in the morning and were like, hey, your door's here. We got to do it. And then I was like, okay. I was like, I can't. And then I had my stream ready to go, but he's banging around. They had to like reshape the walls. I had a hole in my wall for 2 days. It was not a fun time. We had to get one of those fly trap things because like the doors, I mean, think about it. Your house is open. There's just a wall gone. There's just bugs flying in, 3 or 4 flies every couple hours. I'm like, my goodness, I didn't realize there's so many flies around here, but they smell food. They go for it, you know? But I am happy to be back. I used the time to say, hey, maybe we want to get a little bit of professional, right? We want it to look a little bit more professional. Now, as I do look at serve, I actually really like this look. You had divergences at these lows. That actually did curl down and curl right back up. That told you, okay, the daily can turn up here. Then you curl down again on this 2-hour and you curl back up saying, okay, the move might not be over. So right now, this is a 2-hour curling up into positive territory. That can mean good things. You want to see, is the daily curling up? It is. So this is actually a good time to react. It means serve can see some upside soon. Over the next couple of weeks, and that's what I'd be paying attention to. Does it have to go up and test this high and go make a new one? No, it doesn't, because it's a little bit down into negative territory. You do have to be open to, I would say, a lower high. So throughout this move, if you see a 2-hour divergence or maybe a 30-minute divergence that curls down a 2-hour, then the 2-hour divergence with the 30-minute right there. If we see some kind of divergence here, that's when you know, hey, this most likely is going to be a lower high. But if this just curls up and keeps going, that daily never turns back around, right? Then it can just be positive for a long time. Did you miss us at all? I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's like, I missed having people to bounce things off of, right? I think that's what I like the most about YouTube is I get to say what I think, and then I get to see the reaction of about 100 people, right? I get to see a big reaction and see, is this what other people are seeing too? Is what I'm saying making sense? And the fact that most of the time it makes sense, it's a good feeling. It's nice. But for the most part, I just want to be like, hey, I want to be here to help people out. And that's the big thing for me, right? But it's always nice to have a little break. I mean, anyone can attest to that. It's always nice when you get in the flow of things, you're really working hard, and then you work really hard, work really hard, work really hard. It's nice to get a break. I just wish that break wasn't a hole in my wall. Oh, I don't have to be careful what I'm saying. No, I'm lucky enough. I'm a pretty honest guy, so. Okay, so we have volatility. We got Dixie retesting the lows as of now. Testing those again. That's the big thing, though, is if you really this 4-hour divergence could have been lower, but you have it now. And I want you to notice what's the last thing that turned up the dollar. Just really look at this and see if people are flying into cash. That means they're most likely getting out of assets, right? They're going into cash. So what did we see at the last low that told us, hey, the dollar is going to get a reaction rate, right? This is when we called the double bottom for the dollar and see that pop. There you go. Boom, a big pop. Then we see this at the top and we go, uh-oh, that kind of had some weakness there. Now it's turning down. We see a very similar signal, a little bit wonkier, right? A little bit wonkier. People a little undecided, it seems. But if that can really turn up and go positive, you might break through these levels and this might be a big moment. And that's just because now you have a daily rejection divergence, right? We do have a pretty steep daily rejection divergence. Now, it's not necessarily the best because the wicks are mainly here, not necessarily the body of the candle or the close of the candle. But for the most part, you would say this is a rejection of more downside from the dollar, which means if the dollar is going to scale up, most likely stocks will fall. Now, this can happen two things can happen at once, right? The dollar can start to head up while the SPY heads up. We'll pay attention to that. Which war zone do you live in? I don't live in a war zone. I live in the flattest state. So flat. CrowdStrike. Let's go look at CrowdStrike. I haven't really paid too much attention to this. The main thing here was just the daily curling back up. This told you daily swing trade is on. Now you have to be aware this is a swing trade that's in negative territory below the 200, so we could run into problems right here. Do we see weakness in this overall move? Right, that's where we immediately just go look at the 2-hour and we go, nope, not really. I mean, you do have some flatness of the RSI, but not really divergence. If that needs to pull back on a 2-hour, okay, pull back on a 2-hour. That's perfectly fine. See if that can curl back up into positive territory. As of right now, me personally, I would say this is a little bit late to the move, so I wouldn't be YOLOing into anything. And as we pull up a 30-minute, you're going to see that divergence a little bit more clearly, but it's a little wonky, okay? So we're getting these, like I said, with Amazon, kind of like bridge moments where we're kind of just like barely falling down, curl up, barely fall down, curl up. So if this is going to see an extended 30-minute pullback, look for that to get closer to the center line. Still pretty close to the center line, honestly. I mean, a little far up, but so if this wants to curl back up on the shortest time frame, 30-minute curls down, curls right back up. Greg wanted to look at VMAR. Let's go look at this real quick, looking at Vision Marine Technologies. Very interesting stuff. Now, these are going to be, for the most part, penny stocks. So this analysis is going to be totally different on stocks like this, just because they have fallen down and down and down and down and down. As I keep scrolling, you see down and down and down for a long time. So with these, you more so do want to do some kind of fundamentals here if you're doing anything like this, right? Because if this does curl up, it does have a chance to make a move, but it also is in negative territory, so the trend can continue, right? The trend over here continues. The trend here can continue. You are not close to the center line, so for this to build back, it's going to take a lot of work, right? So the most likely thing is actually to see that go like this and then curl right back down. That would be a good signal. Right now, you don't necessarily have a good signal. You just have one curl up at the MACD. No reason to take a trade on that, unless you're looking at the fundamentals and you're saying, hey, this is something I'm going to invest in for a long time or something like that. But you got to know your risk with that as well. Yeah, they keep adding them to short. And I'm trying to look into those more, but the main thing I just want to know is with AMC and GME, and it will really put you at ease if you can get your mental state into this with AMC and GME. All right, your mental state will really help you out here a little bit. The main thing you need to understand from AMC and GME is this is a fight, and the big players in the stock market do not want these stocks to go up. They do not want big banks. Big banks do not want these stocks to go up. Jerome Powell does not want these stocks to go up. Joe Biden does not want these stocks to go up. Just so you're aware of what you're fighting against. Nobody in power wants this to go up, okay? Because it really hurts. It's going to hurt the banking system. Right? BlackRock does not want this to go up. Market makers do not want this to go up. And obviously short sellers do not want this to go up. So if this is going to head up with technical signals, then you need this daily to curl back up and go positive, right? That means something can happen. But for the most part, saying how many things are against it and knowing that they can fight it for a long time, what's the best strategy as far as it goes? What did I notify all my friends that were talking about it? They were like, oh, it could pop up to 100 again, right? They're all excited. And I go, yes. But it could take, shoot, I think back when Roaring Kitty came out, I said it could still take another 2 years if it wants to, because you have to see how liquid they are. And because of the debt system we're in, they can always find that liquidity. Now, I think they're coming into a point where they're getting a little bit tired. I think as markets start to suffer, that's when you can pay attention for AMC and GME to maybe see something good. Yeah, PCC has been kind of going spiking up, dropping down, spiking up, dropping down. A lot of puts coming into the market today. Really convinced that, hey, this is going to be a bad thing. That's where we want to pay attention because the dollar is holding up well. So this doesn't necessarily look like rigged behavior, right? So I am posting that video. I've already made it. I just need to post that video onto the course down in the description, the Using Technical Indicators course. It is to teach you how to trade in any market, pretty much the skills I think you need in order to, with any trading strategy, that stuff can be useful, understanding your indicators, understanding the MACD and things like that. But we're going to add this video to there. I just have to post it there later today. But for the most part, you just want to say this is not rigged behavior as of right now. You're seeing the SPY is down, the dollar is up, and the PCC is high. So that just tells me if the market maker wants to mess with people, they shoot the market higher, right? They convince people to go to the call side, right? They just shoot this higher for a moment, get people excited, and then maybe if they go to the call side, we see the SPY is green, right? If we can see the SPY is green here, and then we see the dollar is still rising, and then we see a low PCC, that's more when we will pay attention. But it is bouncing around. What do I think is good to get into now? I wouldn't necessarily say there's much that looks good to get into. It's kind of like if you did not catch these lows with that divergence that we pointed out, well, then this would be kind of a difficult setup, right? But if this 2 hour can really show some positivity here, I think this is curled up, right? But it just doesn't look like the most positive thing. Is it going to set up a divergence? I don't think there's necessarily the best setups for today, but that's okay because a lot can change by, say, Tuesday next week. By Tuesday next week, if we see, oh, the SPY is curled down on a 2 hour for 2 days, and we see this down in these levels, and then it just curls back up, that would be when we're talking about a good trade setup. So I did post a couple of setups with something like, I think it was IWM, which I haven't updated the weekly expected moves on the chart, but IWM was the one that I posted, and that was way down here. This was the last time we really saw a great setup. Right? This is the last time we really saw a great setup. We posted this to Patreon, and look at that move. It's been fantastic. So absolutely great move from IWM. Now it needs a 2 hour pullback. So what are we most likely going to see at the highs as we look like we need a 2 hour pullback? Well, we'll see a 30-minute divergence all the way across, and it's very, very steep. So we do see weakness in momentum here. So if anything, your opportunity might be for downside plays, but you have to understand in those downside plays, you are still in a positive gamma situation. You have gone up dramatically. You have a lot of charts that are very positive, like Apple. So you have to be aware if things are curling back up. Ooh, that was a lot of talking. My goodness, I'm talking. Ms. Danya, thank you so much for subscribing. Maybe you'll pop up on the screen in a second, right here. Maybe right here. That'd be cool. I'm down with that. I'm down. Oh, there it is. Thank you for subscribing this morning. Really appreciate it. And thank you guys for liking the video this morning. I know we have a different look to it, so please give a like to the channel so people can understand this is the money making market channel. Let's see. Okay, good. Now, one funny thing about my volatility options was they were like, I like to buy cheap ones with volatility. If I'm going to see a pop, I'm going to play it for a short period of time. I'm not risking a bunch of money, but they kept popping up. They kept popping up 200%. So people are wanting to buy volatility is what that tells me. And it looks like we're seeing some of those signals now. So IWM, the most likely scenario here, by the way, for IWM is a 2-hour pullback. And I think someone was looking at Walmart. Someone was looking at Walmart. Remember Walmart giving a bunch of reversals here, a lot of times to manage trades, right? Seeing that curl up into positive territory right here, gotta manage the trade. Then we go up higher. Now we see another point of divergence, and it really held strong with this level. So that tells me some dramatic weakness can come. But what happens if this 2-hour curls up? If the 2-hour does curl up, hey, positivity, right? Because we're still within positive territory. So that can mean the bullish thing. Now, if we're going to see more downside, I think it's the daily scale curls down and keeps going down. So if this is going to be some kind of flash move up and the 2-hour crosses, that could only last for a couple of days, and then that actually turns back down. But that's what I'd be paying attention to. Daily has curled down, telling you daily pullback still is the most likely thing for something like Walmart. Mullen. Yeah, Mullen just keeps going down. One thing I'd be interested in is, does this have some kind of short seller problem? Does this have that? That's all I would say. The technicals for this are saying, yeah, we're getting close to the center line. That 2-hour can finally maybe flip into positive. You notice we've been negative for a long time. But we're actually closer to that center line, so this could be something to pay attention to. Ultimately, the daily time frame, you need this to get above some moving averages. You need this to go positive. That's what I would overall say. You do have some divergence in the near price action here, so you have a chance of something happening soon. But any stock that has done something like this, you have to be like, okay, this can get a little scary. So it already is scary, right? So you need to understand the fundamentals. You need to understand if there's a short seller problem that can help you out in your mentality with holding something like this. Does this look like a good options stock, right? Not necessarily. Why doesn't it look like a good option stock? Well, because it just always goes like this. It's very slowly going down. You're not necessarily seeing, oh, we go down, we see a pop, then we go like this, then we flag out, then we go down again, right? You don't have structure for trades here. So I wish I could tell you better things, but for the most part, you just have to understand the fundamentals of something that's dropped this low. Is it good at this price? How long am I going to hold it? For an option play, you're more so probably hoping like this 2-hour actually does go into a positive trend. That's pretty much all that could be said there. Oh, stock split. Okay, so it had a split too. And yeah, Mullen had the split. That's what I was kind of looking at. Nike looks like a decent short. Mark, usually you find some good ones. So let's see here. Well, I mean, this might be some kind of scalping play at this point, right? But for the most part, you want to see, is the bigger time frame turning up? It is. So anything that does happen here could just be a pullback. So when I see this, I want to look at the shortest time frame, see if that's overbought. It is. So the next time for the trade setup is, can this 30-minute curl down and then curl back up? If I missed out on this daily curl up, which I'm guessing a lot of people did because we react to the signals, right? We try not to get in too early. We want to make sure things are confirmed. Well, if that can curl down and curl back up, that might be the time it can go, and you have daily momentum behind you. So I'd really be paying attention to a 30-minute curl up. Hold on one second, my buddy's calling me. I'll be back in 1 minute. Gosh, man. My buddy is saying, let's go get pho. And you know what I say when one of my buddies asks me to go get pho? I say yes. That's what happens every time. Every single time. Every single time they ask, I'm gonna say yes. Microsoft? Oh gosh, you just gambled a bit? Oh no. Not. Hopefully you got a good signal here. Well, 30-minute is curling down, so that's one thing. I mean, if anything, if you're trying to take a daily play or something like that, it always pays to be a part of the Patreon. It only costs $7 a month, and we give the daily expected move for stocks every Friday. Going into options expiration, that can be a big deal. Looks like something like Microsoft, if it gets towards 433, that is where for the day your options market's kind of saying, hey, that's as low as I'm supposed to go. So you got about 3 points lower here. Something dramatic can happen. If you're trying to YOLO all day, then that might be, take some profit, leave a couple contracts, right? That's how we like to do things around here. Try to stay risk averse, but PCC up a bit. Yeah, PCC's been up a lot actually lately, so you're getting a lot of puts to come in. Now, we want to see if we find rigged behavior, right? We don't see that right now. We don't see that. We just see people are reading this as bad. They are buying puts. The dollar is increasing. People are running to cash, and the SPY is dropping. So everything makes sense here, honestly. Now what you'd be looking for is the dollar to drop. If the dollar was dropping, that could mean some insiders are buying. We're not seeing that, right? We're seeing the dollar rise. So weirdly enough, all of this makes total sense with the signals. Yeah, daily range for IWM is on Patreon. I can give that to you because usually for IWM, I like to give you that stuff. Just wasn't live all week. 226.84 to the upside, 221.10 to the downside for IWM. So 221.10 is pretty much right in this area, right around here. It's pretty much all that's priced in for the day. If you're going to get a little bit uglier, then you're going to break through that level. But that is as low as the options market's expecting for today for IWM. Gosh, that TLT play was nice. I had a lot of fun playing that TLT play. Mostly had to trade for my phone, and that is just... I do not like doing that. Uh-oh, Z-Shotty. That's good, too. So, Z-Shotty, it's good to put those things together. It's actually really good because you really want to add value to those levels that we're paying attention to, right? Those weekly expected moves. What did we talk about with this weekly expected move? Well, or I'm sorry, the Q's weekly expected move. Where does that happen to be? Well, it happens to be towards this high. Where does the bottom weekly expected move happen to be? Well, it happens to be back down towards where we should have more so probably curled up, curled back down, and then curled up. So this is where I really want to pay attention. This would be a great area. But yeah, it's good to make more reasons for a level to be strong, and then you still want to pay attention. Are the signals looking good at that level? Hey, I hope you have a safe move. Hop in, hop out, back on the road. Hey, that's awesome, Z-Shotty. Hey, I just hope you have a safe move, all right? Stay safe. Try not to watch anything while you're driving, right? Make sure you're keeping those eyes on the road. You can't trade if you get in a car accident. That's not good. So don't get in a car accident. Be safe out there. How'd you play TLT? Well, TLT was nice to me, okay? TLT gave me this next point of divergence. So I actually took a play here, and then it dropped dramatically. And then the construction of my house was happening, and I didn't catch this bounce, right? So I wasn't able to manage the trade. So I could have taken profit and still, if I would have managed the trade, I still would have been in profit, and then I could have added more. But instead, I used it as an opportunity to scale in because I was looking at the opposite side of that 10-year yield, and it looked like that was going to see a reaction too. So I just scaled in, used it as an opportunity. That's the benefit of taking longer out expirations. And then, boom, big drop happens, and I was gonna play it until it hit 98.66. But I said, whoa, that happened very, very quickly. I made 120% in like a day and a half. So I'm going to take profit on that, see if there's some kind of bounce, and then maybe that curls down again into negative territory, and I have a little short setup for a second. That's how I played TLT. So no, I'm not holding my long-term TLT because the daily has crossed down. That's kind of the reason I took this play. The daily scale was seeing weakness, so I knew if I see a little bit of weakness, that can be pretty strong. That's exactly what ended up happening. The daily did end up curling down right as I took that option, pretty much, that second position. Curled down, went down towards my line, made enough money, so I said that's what I want, right? People think that's a little weird about me, but I like to take profit very often. Okay, I like to take profit very often. I am someone who always says the slow way is the fastest way. You want to get rich quick with stocks? Learn how to trade the slow way. The slow way is the fast way in the market, because if you trade too fast, right? If you're not patient enough, you can make decisions that can hurt your account just with a few trades. But if I'm patient, I say, oh, this dropped down, made enough money for me to take profit. Now, if I see some kind of bounce like this, I can retake a position later on. Yeah, so I actually sold out of my position because I saw reversal signals, right? I think I sold out into here because I saw a reversal signal here. And then I got a chance to short it with these positions right here as well. So I had two opportunities to scale in. That ended up producing for me. Fantastic trade. Now that daily has curled down, so it easily could head further down, but I'm still taking profit when I like the money. Yeah, Uniworld, TLT divergences. I think we've talked about this in the past, and people have heard me mention it, but not a lot of people actually fully, I think, retained that. Divergences on TLT do play out a significant amount of the time. It's just a lot of the time you can see those things rip back to the upside. So it will play out, make you a decent amount of money, but doesn't mean it's going to absolutely crash down. Not necessarily, but it will make a solid move, right? So it made the solid move. That's all I'm looking for, right? I'm a trade. I want something to be little money, turn it into bigger money, and sell it. That's it. That's what I did in this play. Very, very nice. And if this thing dropped down to $94, sure, I'd be a little bummed, but why am I bummed? I made money off the play, right? That's the overall goal of trading, is to make money. As long as I made money, I should not be bummed out if the play happened more than I expected. Which this is actually still less than I expected. I just think we might get a little bounce here. I think we still could end up down towards 94.79. Let me go use the restroom real quick, all right? This is an opportunity maybe to check out those courses down in the course, give a like to the channel, get a little glass of water, anything you need to do to reload. I'm gonna go upstairs and get myself a water real quick. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. All right, we're back. We're ready to get trading again, right? We're ready to look at some technical analysis here. Let's go switch over to the SPY, just seeing that thing is dropping down. So one big signal is going to be if this daily does drop, we can see a more prolonged pullback still because we're in positive territory. Now we do have, you would want to look for, okay, my dog just spazzed out. There's no real divergence points, right? So the only divergence we do have is overall with this point over here, you have a couple. You have one here, almost, pretty much. Pretty much this looks like divergence, but technically isn't. This one is, right? So this point right here, it's dramatically more down, so I'd say it's more leaning towards divergence, but this one actually would be over here if that's able to cross. Elias, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, so you're seeing this is still showing positive, but the 2 hour is kind of wanting to stay curled down. So you're still looking for a good breakout. It doesn't mean, you know, and this is the other thing too, if something is slightly confusing, right? If something is slightly confusing, is it a good trade setup? Well, if something's confusing, then it's probably not a good trade setup for you. Not saying other people can't not be confused by it, but it just means to me, if I was taking a trade, would I want to take a trade that confuses me? No, I want to look for a very obvious trade, right? So it just tells me if I'm confused at all with any stock that I'm looking at for a trade setup, it just means I need to be a little bit more patient, maybe wait for a second. Are you talking about the government shutdown? The government shutdown can cause a reaction as well, and that's something to pay close attention to. It still means we could go through some turmoil, come through even October, but for the most part, we want to just pay attention to signals, right? We want to be paying attention to signals, and that's the big thing we're going to keep saying is, yes, this can be bad. This can be very ugly. But if this just turns up at any time, and this is still within that center line, right? Able to go into a positive trend, then we have to pay attention. VIX trying to push through some levels here. Let's go check on volatility as that 2 hour signal is what we're paying attention to today. See if that sees a big upside. Just be very cautious over the weekend is what this tells me. It doesn't mean we can't go higher. It just tells me in this area, is it necessarily a good thing to say, hey, stocks are going to head dramatically higher from here right now? No, it doesn't necessarily say that. It more so says either we're going to pull back or go sideways. But you also have that inevitability because of the 0.5 rate cut, the 50 basis point rate cut. You do have that probability for some kind of reversal still from here. So you have the reversal signals here. Something bad could happen. Is that just going to be a pullback though? Because we're in positive gamma, so. Yeah, I've been scared of Mondays since August. Bro, I've been scared of Mondays like for all summer. Like pretty much almost, if you guys, you know, you've heard me on Fridays a lot of the time, I'm like, okay, yeah, I've been I've been taking profit pretty early on stuff when it comes into a Friday, right? I'm fine with holding a little volatility play or something over the weekend with the signals, but other than that, I'm not trying to take any kind of bigger plays because I think Monday could be interesting. And that's just because the dollar's really starting to base out here. I mean, look at that dollar really starting to gain some steam. Volatility starting to go green here. The SPY's down almost 1%. The Qs are still within its range, which is a cool thing. I wonder if the Qs have almost set up a divergence here. Yeah, so as of right now, you're seeing a 30-minute, little bit more dramatic pullback. This can get ugly if we start to curl down on some bigger time frames. That's how we have to look at it right now, right? We don't want to be overzealous. We know there are some bigger signals than this. We just want to make sure in the shortest time frame we're not seeing some kind of curling back up, right? Some kind of curling back up, because that could be timing, right? We talk about that a lot on this channel. Timing is everything. What if we just have a weekly move up here, this does this for the rest of the day and then curls up and hits that weekly move, and then you see a 30-minute divergence there? It could just mean, hey, we're supposed to go a little bit higher for a trap or something like that. So Kyle, I'm praying for you. Would you hedge with short ETFs? So one thing to do with short ETFs is if you're going into periods, I kind of did this with my brother was asking for a trade setup like a year ago. And I just told him, well, something good about ETFs as far as even SQQQ or SPXS or something like that, even the volatility ones, UVXY, if you actually buy the shares, not necessarily trade an options play, you can hold it a little bit longer, right? With volatility and those kinds of things, you can scale into things like SQQQ probably better than volatility at times. So more so with those type of things, yes, those are the things you would lean to hedge any kind of long position. But I'm seeing like, if you're hedging a long position, that could mean you're a little bit uncertain, but you're still bullish, right? Because I assume you're hedging. So what would we say from here is this is an actual reversal signal. So that means I need to pay attention to if the reversal signal does confirm, that can be bad, meaning for those long positions, which means you don't want that hedged position to have to save you. Right, you want to still be reacting with what you're seeing on your charts. Right, that's just a little tip from someone over here who's hedged a lot. I wouldn't say I'm the best person when it comes to hedging, but I do know if I'm seeing a reversal signal and I'm in a long play and I see a reversal that could make the Qs turn down, why would I still be in the long play? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like with Nvidia. I think we had someone that came into the chat back when this was forming, and they were like, "Oh, so this signal means I should hedge." And I was like, "Well, this signal technically doesn't mean you should hedge, right? This 30-minute signal that we found doesn't mean you should hedge. This means it can reverse into a positive trend." So that tells me more like if you're just using this as an opportunity to hedge, well, you're not really paying attention because this is a reversal signal, right? Maybe this kind of drop happens, or maybe you move sideways, right? Maybe it's more confusing. That's when you're more hedging, in my opinion, is we're moving sideways like this. Okay, I'm still long, but I'm going to hedge in case something bad happens. Then that bad thing happens, it curls back up and you say, okay, maybe now this is the moment we go and make that structure. It doesn't make it. That means, okay, now that hedge is making some money. I need to get out of those long plays so that I could break even on the overall play or something like that. But that's more when I would say hedging makes more sense. Uncertainty causes me to hedge. Does a divergence cause me to hedge? No, a divergence causes me to switch my thinking. Nvidia can really go up from here, which means the entire market can go up from here, right? That's what we said here. If I say, oh, the entire market can go up from here, then why would I still be in a short play? You know what I mean? SPY holding pretty strong. That daily expected move getting violated very early on. That was the fishy thing that I pointed out in the video yesterday. I made sure to talk about that for a decent amount of time, just being like, that's really strange for the SPY to have 8% implied volatility while the Qs have 18% implied volatility. Nazim, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me back. Really appreciate it. I hope your week has been a good one. My week has been ebb and flow, up and down. I will say that. But I will not complain. I can't complain. What's positive gamma? Positive gamma is when you hit certain levels where if you do see selling, there's most of the time going to be buyers. So positive gamma is more like buy the dips type scenarios. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dippers come in a lot, right? Negative gamma is sell the rip type thing. So positive gamma is, oh, this pulls down. Well, we're positive gamma, so if that curls back up, positive move, right? Buyers are there. Negative gamma is kind of the other direction, which says, hey, if there are sellers lurking, well, then they're going to sell those rips. So this is an example of negative gamma, right? We popped up to this area, resistance above, we came back into our resistance, and boom, sell that rip, right? We rip up, sell that rip. All right, now we have structure, we head up, we break through that level, we break through the key resistance level, and now we're in positive gamma over time, which you'll notice all these little drops, boom, drops, curls back up, drop up. Drop up is the most likely scenario, but we have reversal signals now. So now we have the reversal signals, which is saying, okay, this could not be a time where they're able to buy the dip. It doesn't have to be on both at the same time to be valid. It's more you want to read into it with just some common sense. Okay, I'm seeing, let's say, you know, I'm seeing the reversal signal here on an hourly, but not down here on my RSI. That tells me that this could just be a pullback, right? It more leans you towards a pullback rather than a full reversal of the trend. It means a more significant pullback can come, right? So that would tell me maybe we're not going to see something like this, but we're going to see something like this, right? If it was on one, not the other. Now, this one here is on both at the same time, right? These are at the same time, very obviously at the same time. So that tells me this can reverse, meaning if we do see that drop, retest the breakdown area, we can continue that trend and go back into that negative gamma. If we can, really, I would say if we can get back below 555.22, something like below these lows in here, that would convince me, hey, we have potential to be going into negative gamma if we can't build that back up from there. Yeah, IWM has some divergences, and then we'll check over on Tesla. IWM does have 30 minutes, so I want to pay attention. Once again, positive gamma, right? We're still positive. But if that 30 minutes not able to curl up and this 2 hour can curl down, the most likely thing is the 2 hour is going to pull back. There's not necessarily reversal signals in here, not very good ones at least. I mean, kind of flat up here with these levels. But I think more so, we kind of skipped out on making a solid handle, right? We broke through this area, just a little handle. So if we needed to go retest that area, fill that gap, and then curl back up, I think that's what this looks like to me. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but right now I'd be paying attention if that 2 hour crosses over. So it really depends on the strategies you're doing, how long you can take out expiration. But for my strategies, which is down in the description if you want more of this type of thing. I think you already have the course there, Ifoma. But for the most part, it's just when this red blip does happen. Right? When this blip does happen, I want to say that's a reason to take a trade. So the time that I actually enter a trade is when I have 5 reasons to enter a trade. What are my 5 reasons? We'll do that. We'll do that live right now for the SPY. What are 5 reasons to take a position? And that's something we go over very diligently in the course. But one of those reasons might be, hey, I'm seeing divergence. Okay, another reason would be that actually did confirm, right? So that confirmation there is important. The MACD just curled down. It's within range of going to past that center line. So that's one reason. The MACD has confirmed down and it's closer to the center line. The other reason is I have divergence. So one here, one here, one here, right? Because I have a divergence on the RSI. That's 3 reasons immediately. 3 reasons is what I say is minimum in order to take a trade. Then you want to look at where are we as far as the week goes? Well, we're at the top side weekly expected move. So maybe that's another reason that we were paying attention for some kind of position, because options market only priced in this and we went a little bit higher than that. So that's another reason we can come up with. What's another reason? We could probably come up with like 7 reasons. Well, another reason might be because the dollar is really bottoming here with 2 hour divergences, right? That's another reason. That might be 4 or 5 reasons at that point. And then you go look at volatility and you say, well, if I see the same signal on volatility at the same time as the SPY, this just hasn't confirmed yet. If that would confirm, that would be a 5th reason right there. Right? Do you see how quickly I can do that? Because I've been doing it a long time. I can do that very quickly, did it all within a minute, pretty much all my analysis within a minute, just because I've been paying attention. That's a key thing too. If I pay attention, I don't have to do as much work later. So I can really quickly say, okay, I'm seeing all of these signals. If this confirms, I take a volatility play. Maybe I want to see, does this have a good shot to give me a little signal in here to see if that's going to curl up? Well, then I would go look at a 30-minute. What's happening there? Well, I do have some flat divergences down here on the RSI, but on the MACD, it's pretty up. So that tells me that 2 hour does have a good opportunity to turn up very soon, as long as this remains positive. That is why I took the volatility play, and I'm seeing if that is able to build up over time. No, not all the time. You see how I kind of mixed around. I went from 30-minute, I looked at, and it's also based on what the timeliness of what I want to see. It's based on what do all the time frames look like as well. If I see a 30-minute divergence, right, then that means okay, so my mentality is this as well. Now I have my 5 reasons based on this 30-minute chart. What do I want to do next? Well, how far should I expect this to go down? Well, maybe I can look at a 2-hour. Is there a reversal signal on the 2-hour? I would say there is. I would say there is some significant divergence in here and flatness of the RSI here. So right now, because this is positive, I would say a bigger pullback could come. Where could that pullback, a bigger one, go to? Well, I would say down towards 560. An overall bigger pullback would be 555. So those are the 2 levels I'm going to keep in mind as far as volatility goes. If I wake up next week and I have that range, and that range is 555, and we do this very early on in the week, I'm going to say, okay, taking profit, because that's as far down as the options market is expecting it to go. Right? So then I always look at the 30-minute trade and I say, okay, does the 2-hour something behind it? Then I say, if the 2-hour is something behind it, which it does the daily? This tells me how long I can really hold this play and stuff like that. Well, the daily does have some divergence at these levels as well. So if this is daily turns down, well, then we could see more dramatic things, right? We could come all the way back down into this zone right here. So that tells me if the daily curls down, I can hold on to that a little bit longer. So I can find something on the 30-minute, do my further analysis on the 2-hour, do my further analysis on the daily, and then say, okay, now I know what I'm looking for. I can write all those things down. I can say, hey, if I'm doing a 30-minute, well, technically, if this 2-hour confirmed, I'd be in a 2-hour trade. So if this 30-minute curls up into positive territory, I need to manage the trade. Right? There's a lot that goes into it, right? It can be very simple to someone like me who's done it for so long, but for someone who's new, you really got to be able to practice for like a whole year before you're really going to get it down this good. But just do your best, do your due diligence, and really be managing the trade, right? That's the big thing. If you can really learn how to, I would even say this, people who have taken the course this weekend, I would like you to do something. It's just something small for me. Dedicate 20 minutes to it. Okay. Go into the course, take the management of the trade section again. Okay. Take the management of the trade section again. I think it will really, really help. I mean, I genuinely think that that's one of the most important parts. I was very excited when I put that out because people were really, really liking it. And managing trades is something that like 90% of traders don't do. They just have a stop loss and they let it sit. And then, the market maker knows that it's there. They take it out and then they flip the trade back around and then they get mad that they got stopped out. All right. So what I want to do is be my own stop. I want to manage my trade thoroughly, especially at the beginning. Now, there's a difference here between a couple of things, right? Managing the trade here makes sense, right? Managing the trade, it's buy negative territory. But once it flips back to positive, managing a trade here doesn't make the most amount of sense if I have a longer out option, right? Because we're really, really up high. Now you can manage some of the contracts, but most likely you're going to make a divergence. Then you manage the trade. That doesn't play out, it curls back up. Okay, a little bit more. Now we manage the trade, right? So you have to be really paying attention to those signals, but for the most part, the management of the trade section is very, very good. It will help you with a lot of this. A key thing to do is just understand what trade you're in right now. Right now, we are only in a 30-minute trade. This 2-hour has not crossed down. So we are only in a 30-minute trade. So I need to be managing this pretty tightly. If the 15-minute does rotate up, where is it? It's really close to the center line, so most likely positivity comes in. So if that 15-minute doesn't curl up and we see this 2-hour curl down, well, then I need to pay attention to if that 30-minute is curling back up, right? In order for me to react, manage the trade, take profit, and things like that. Great questions. Really, really great questions, Ufoma. I'm loving them. Damn, we actually are going to maybe go hit my 98.66. Fudge nuggets. All right. One thing for the Dow, because we did add the DIA to the Patreon. Oh God, we got to look at Tesla. I'm sorry, Kalani. But DIA here showing some reversal signal. You're seeing it pretty damn clear on the hourly, actually confirming as of right now, telling you that some bigger time frames, meaning the 4-hour can curl down, that has divergence, meaning the daily could possibly curl down, and that has divergence across the way as well. So the Dow is really showing you some very big macro signals we're going to talk about on Saturday. Make sure you're subscribed, but the Dow is showing you some signals that says we could go through a little bit more of a pullback or maybe even a reversal on the daily scale. This is why I'm saying the 50 basis point cut, you really have to pay attention because it speeds up the timeline. Originally, we were like, hey, this could take 6 to 18 months if they only cut by 25 basis points. We said, but watch, if they react and they double that, that's what they did. They doubled what they were going to do. They increased what they were going to do by 100%. That is a big reaction that you have to pay attention to, and they're probably going to cut more by the end of the year. That is a reaction to something. They tell you, oh, we're not reacting to anything, it just looks good. No. They are reacting to something. They know about something. They do not like the look of something, and they're reacting to hopefully not cause that thing to blow up. But we already know, because they cut by 50 basis points, that something is very likely about to blow up. So that speeds up the timeline. It means something bad could happen soon, as in the next month or two, or it could leak into something like early 2025. Tesla. All right, let's go look at Tesla real quick. Tesla, if we look on the daily time frame, everything looks peachy. It's just holding in that flagging pattern we are kind of talking about. Looked like a little bit of flagging there for me. GME juiced. Hey, 3% for GME. We like to see it. As far as it goes for Tesla, the bigger time frames, daily is still staying positive and not overbought by any means. As we go into things like the 2-hour, we're going to see some signals here. They're kind of wonky, right? So Tesla a little bit wonky as you're in this flagging. So really pay attention if this 2-hour can cross down. That's going to be a big deal. And then you'll see if that daily can cross down. Is there a great trade setup here? I think there is an okay setup. It's a little bit wonky though, but you do have this downward move here, and then you're kind of holding flat. So that is overall going to be divergence here. You can see that's kind of coming down. If I blow it up, you're going to see how that's coming down, right? We came down, we come down. So that's telling me this does have weakness in momentum. If the 2-hour confirms down, we can cross over that daily. Now, as we look into a 30-minute, though, the story's a little bit different. Why is the story different? Because we don't necessarily have great reversal signals in here, right? We just have a MACD that's pretty high up on a 30-minute. That means we can curl back down in this area, maybe curl up one more time and create that bad signal for Tesla. So those are just things to be aware of, but if that 2-hour curls down, bad things can happen. Let's go look over at GME. That's seeing a pretty solid move. Now, one thing with GME that I thought was kind of cool here is, I can't remember, was it 4-hour or daily? Let's look. 4-hour. Yeah, 4-hour divergence was very, very nice. That can really lead to the daily scale turning up, and the daily has that divergence as well. This is what we talked about in last night's video. The main thing you need behind these to see a big move is daily, right? Daily momentum. So you're seeing a time on a Friday where you're about to head into the weekend where you just hit all-time highs. The dollar looks like it's bottoming. A lot of puts are coming in, but those aren't really showing too much downside. But you could say also on the other side of that, well, if the market suffers, then the liquidity issues of the people who are trying to short things like GME and AMC could come to light, and that actually could cause some kind of squeeze here for GME. So all those things, volatility showing reversal, SPY showing reversal in the other direction, GME showing, hey, I could curl up with a divergence, and you have the dollar trying to bottom there. All of that kind of leads into something crazy could happen on Monday. Now, we say that with the signals when they look decent on a Monday, right? We saw these type of signals on a Friday. This confirmed up. And then over the weekend, what happened? Well, nothing really happened. So you have to be aware it's not a sure 100% thing. It just means if this would cross up on this MACD, you have a higher probability of seeing something, positive from the stock, for the price of the stock. So very interesting. I like the look of it so far. Let's look over at AMC. That one's suffering a little bit more, going down and testing that 200, testing the bottom of our overall triangle here. We'll see if this is a continuation triangle, if this is able to pop up. The cool part about AMC is you have a little divergence here, and you kind of see that MACD, we have a little, or that RSI, we have a little divergence there. So AMC showing you a similar thing. You just need those dailies to curl back up. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, Kalani. I'm like, there's not necessarily great setups for upside unless AMC and GME do curl up. I wouldn't say great setups just yet. But there are some setups for downside. I will say that. The VIX is showing a setup that can turn around the daily scale for the volatility. You are seeing this setup here, and that is something I'd pay close attention to, but hasn't confirmed or anything like that yet. Yeah, GME is seeing some good stuff. Maybe if we put some mayo on it, it'll go a little bit higher. Ooh, that's good stuff. We like that bar. That's a good bar right there. Let's grab onto this for a second. And all right, all right. All right, now it's got some mayo on it, so maybe that thing will blow up to $100, huh? Who's excited? Sounds fun. Really want to pay attention to the Dow here, though. Some big reversal signals here for the Dow if these things confirm down. NCLH, but looks like a bad trade. Someone asked for NCLH a second ago. I was bearish, but looks like a bad trade. Depends on the time frame. This is a major upward move. Not necessarily the best reversal signals, I would say. Pretty, actually slightly up on that RSI, just slightly. Going up into an area, though, where a pullback makes sense, right? This is where you'd really want to see almost like a cup and handle, I think. You originally created the cup and handle with the breakdown area, which I think is beautiful, by the way. If you can get that cup all the way up to that level and then pull back and curl back up, that's fantastic. Now you head up to the level where you might need to make another one of those handles. Okay, so a 2-hour is saying I need to pull back here. Maybe my hourly or 30-minute chart is showing me some reversal. So if that 30-minute curls down, look for a 2-hour to pull down a little bit more and then curl back up into positive territory, just like right here. Oh yeah, let's go look at this for Nazim real quick, all right? We gotta look at this for Nazim real quick, all right? Okay, we have a 2-hour that really looks like it wants to pull back. Yeah, the problem here with this overall move is we didn't really set up, I would say actually we did get a little handle on the 30 minutes. So maybe we should be looking for the 30-minute signals here. See, the reason I was looking at this was I'd really like to make that handle at the actual level down here, kind of the breakdown area right in here. We created it a little bit early, right? A little bit early, and then we started to head up. That's great and all. Now we do have a divergence, it seems, at the high, some pretty significant ones. Okay, so this tells me I need to look at this. Maybe I'm late. If I'm late to this, what am I trying to do? Well, I'm trying to look for is the 2-hour crossing. The 2-hour just crossed. So this means to me we can see an extended pullback, or at least pull back with a little bit of time here, right? Kind of do this number and then see if that curls back up. So what I'd mainly be paying attention to for this one, because pullback looks like the most likely scenario, reversal signals on the 30-minute, 2-hour curls down to that center line, curls back up. That can be a good thing, right? Kind of like when we saw this breakout here, you break out, you end up curling down on that MACD, and when you curl up, what happens? Well, a positive move. That's kind of what I'd be looking for from this guy. Yeah, I think put makes sense as long as you're managing the trade. Oh my goodness. Wonder what Apple was doing. That thing was kind of crazy. Dollar's still holding at higher levels. We got the SPY trying to do something interesting. See if that 15-minute can curl back up. Because do remember, we're outside of that daily expected move very early on in the day. So still, even though we're seeing some bad signals, for today, the most likely thing is to land in this zone, right? Land in this area would make the most sense for today. Good morning, Timmy. How you doing? EFGC. You think it's gonna, you're like, this thing's about to hurt me. Maybe I should get out. I would say you're seeing that very, very correctly. I would say that Vital, is that what it is? Yeah, Vital, whatever. You are seeing that correctly according to your 30-minute chart. This tells you that a 2-hour can now start to see a pullback. The thing with that 2-hour is it has divergence not only here with the rejection, but across the way. So if that 2-hour curls down, it could reverse the trend. Still pay attention if that curls back up. And then we want to check on the daily, because if that daily curls down, that's not going to be a good sign. All right, so I think you're seeing it at the most close level that you could experience something bad over the next couple of days for this stock, which is, I think, exactly what you're thinking. Very nice. Whoa, GME had a $92 million dark pool order of almost 5 million shares. Yeah, you want to see it might be spoofing or something like that, where they just like buy a bunch to sell a bunch really fast and then get rid of all the positions really fast. That's, I wonder if that's, is that options or is that, it's got to be options because it's routed to dark pool. More confident on my little reading. Nice, Vital. That's great. See, that's what I like to see, guys, and that's the development we like to see on this channel. Kind of just getting good at it yourself, making sure, but sometimes, hey, it's always fine to, you know, bounce things off of your friends, and that's what I think this channel is for, is bouncing stuff off each other. So I think it's perfectly fine. I think you're seeing it well. Doesn't, you always know this, it doesn't mean things can't go higher. It just means I'm going to be a little bit careful with this one for the time being until I see another good setup, and I like it. Palantir, I don't know necessarily if stocks crash when they enter the S&P. I know that these are bad signals for Palantir at these highs. I know that that's a rejection. I know that this is probably euphoria, and thank you so much for the $5 Vital. But I know that this is probably a euphoric move in some way, some divergences all across, and we can just see how high up this thing is right before. It doesn't mean it can't go up. It just means for the most part, the most likely thing is to actually pull down. I would really like a gap fill here. We have a very obvious breakdown area, right? So if we're going to break down, this would be the setup, right? Left head, right shoulder. I think that's the most obvious setup there. You don't necessarily have reversal signals though. So if we're going to head higher, well, then maybe we just curl down and curl back up and create that reversal signal. Mayo worked on GME. Let's see. Hey, AMC saw a little pop too. Mayo's working. It's up 8.87%. We like to see it. Yeah, Tammy, hopefully that's helpful. I mean, I don't necessarily want to, you know, read into, oh, what happens when a stock enters this. No, it's just if that stock is about to have some news, I want to look what do the signals look like before that news, because that can tell me a lot about the direction the stock may go. Oh God, AMC needs Mayo, quick. Where's our Mayo? No, it's there. It is. We'll give him a big Mayo for AMC. Boom. Boom, boom, so much mayonnaise. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to take my knife and scrape off the bread because there's so much mayonnaise on AMC. Okay, we're done with that. That got weird. Still, the main thing to pay attention to here are daily time frames curling up. This is still an okay move for AMC. It's an okay move. It's a good sign from GME, but we still need those dailies to confirm upside. Evan Poole, thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and thank you guys for giving likes, because we're seeing some more people in here, and that's fantastic. Thank you guys for liking the video. I was getting way too into it, Josh, and I started to be like, oh God, this got weird. GME rips. I'd say if that daily does confirm up, then you have a high probability that that can go into a positive trend, meaning it has a higher probability to rip if you just cross up this MACD. If momentum can confirm this, this is great. Now just note The last time it did happen was a big opening on a Monday. The last time we saw that Friday signal that was fantastic was right here. Look what happened the next Monday. So you have to be aware that these things can fail, but it does mean higher probability. Maybe it wasn't this time. Our timing's a little bit off. Maybe it's this time if that can curl up into positive territory. I like it. And you're seeing weakness from a lot of things, right? You're seeing some weakness set in a lot here, and that 2 hour is starting to rotate back down. Very flat for that 2 hour for things like NVIDIA. Redfin? I don't think I've looked at that in a while, but we can go look at it. No real reversal, I would say, on the 2 hour time frame. Just kind of heading up and up and up. So really on the 2 hour, the most likely thing is, hey, we get down to that center line and we curl up into positive territory. Insidious, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for subscribing. Please say hi in the chat. Make sure you guys are welcoming these new people in, all right? But the most likely thing from here is that pullback, right? We're getting that pullback right now on the 2 hour. Let's not try to think too hard, right? This is something I talk about with a lot of people when it comes to they're trying to read into pretty much anything. It's like really simplify your thinking and use common sense here. Well, if this is way up high and it needs to find some buyers, it's either going to move sideways or pull down and then curl up on this MACD to see the next move, right? We could have said the same thing right here. Well, it's going to curl down, try to curl up, failed, manage the trade. Now it curls up, great move. Right? So if you follow the signals, you will end up in the right move. Right now, that move looks like a pullback on the 2 hour. If that's going to pull back, I would really, really like this level of 1187, maybe even come fill this gap a little bit lower. I think that that looks nice because you have a gap there. You have this level here. I think it's nice. If we could do something like that, that would be a good sign. Now we're seeing this curl up though. So that means I need to look at a 30-minute. If that 30-minute curls up, maybe we do extend higher and then we get that kind of failure. I think that would be a likely scenario. If we're actually going to continue to head up from here with this 30-minute curl up, I still would like us to kind of move sideways in here and then break out. Took all the courses you have offered and I still learn every day. I have just recently felt comfortable trading, so thanks. And it does take time, doesn't it, Josh? Like that's a good thing to say for maybe some people who are a little new to the channel or new to trading. It does take time to get good, so put yourself in a situation to be successful. You know, we talk about paper trading maybe at first. Then after you get comfortable with that, don't put, say you have a bank account with $50,000 in it, don't put $50,000 into your trading account. What if you only put like $1,000 and then you took some little plays, you tried some good signals. Now, what if you just started on the daily or the 2 hour time frame? That way you're not doing those shorter time frames, right? It takes time to really get good at this. Don't think it's like playing basketball. It's like learning how to play a sport. Like you have to be bad at first to get good. You just have to be willing to be bad, and that's the benefit to paper trading. When GME daily crosses over the weekly VWAP, we have higher potential for explosive upward moves. Deshaun, are you seeing that right now? Because we're seeing a pretty strong move today. Insidious has been holding $24 GME calls for about a month for the 27th. They are up 300%. Congratulations, Insidious. That's what we like to see. We like to see it. Now, something we can always do with the things like GME and AMC and all that good stuff is, what if we see a 2 hour rotate back down? If we see a 2 hour rotate back down, then that means most likely nothing is going to happen, right? So we can still manage trades within this, but for the most part, to actually be a part of the move, I think you just got to hold on to this sucker. And then you just got to hope that it happens. That's kind of how it is. You hope they run out of liquidity, but the good part is you're pretty much always going to be on the winning side as long as enough people hold the stock. At the end of the day, I mean, I know you're probably losing because that's being suppressed down, but it's kind of like adding air into a balloon, and then you keep adding air, you keep adding air, you keep adding air. Eventually, it's going to pop. The balloon can't sustain it anymore, and all you did was sit there. So. Starting to understand any of the value at all. And that's a big thing too, Josh. Once you get to that threshold of like, okay, now I need to use money, it's important to use that money. right? It's important to actually trade with money even when you're practicing. That's why I'm encouraging, if you have a big amount of money, use a small amount first, because you're going to make mistakes. You need to see how you're going to react when you're in a loss. You need to see how you're going to actually physically react. Are you going to press the buttons when you need to manage a trade, right? So there's a lot that goes into it, and adding the money in means now you have skin in the game. So you have a little bit more of that feeling in your stomach, right? So you have to be willing to go through that. A thing that I just suggest is just don't shovel all your money into your account. Don't even give yourself that temptation. Just say, I'm going to use this as a time to learn. I'm dedicating this $1,000 to a time to learn. I'm going to do my best. And weirdly enough, with $1,000 in these strategies, you can still make good money. That's the crazy part. It's like you still can make, $500 a week sometimes. So it's not anything that can't make money with those low amounts if you're trying to do option plays. But I would just say, don't be YOLOing all of it. My problem was greed and not doing the risk management, but now slow and steady wins the race. Exactly. And that's the thing, though. Sometimes it takes you personally seeing it firsthand, right? I know I say it all the time, but I still see people come in and they make some mistakes that were pretty obvious mistakes, right? Shorting NVIDIA at the bottom here when we saw reversal signals is a big mistake, okay? But some people need to make that big mistake to learn from it. People learn better firsthand a lot of the time. Just Joe. Don't listen to him. Put 50K in your account. Oh my goodness. Just Joe, you crazy. Yo, the thing with AMC that's crazy to me is you can buy a month out option with, say, like $500, and if you take the highest up contract, which is like $10, I think it only costs you like $400. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Every month I take 1 week and I say, okay, I'm going to make this amount of money, and then treat that as, hey, I might buy an option play for AMC. Right? I let the market kind of, with the signals, I trade it, I make money, and then I apply that money. So I'm using the stock market to fund my AMC trades, which is pretty fun. GME, I'm just like, I'm going to hold that thing. They're more expensive, but AMC is so cheap. Oh, CEG slot machine. I'm sorry about that. I think I've seen that a couple times. My bad. Whoa! Big daily upward move. So the only thing you can really hope for here is some kind of pullback, right? Now, this never gave the confirmation for downside. It probably looked enticing, but for the most part, in order to take an actual trade here now with this major gap up, is you got to see at least that 30-minute come down, right? We got to see one of these type of moments, one of these, right? But yeah, that's a big upward move right there. So the signals were saying more pullback, and then we confirmed more upside. We never confirmed the next signal. So you pretty much from here, it said upside, 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 never a reason for downside anymore. Options pricing in AMC weighed down to close to reasonable. I'm just interested to see when this thing does blow up. Notice I said when. As long as people are able to hold it and keep their guts, we're good. But when this thing does blow up, I'm just interested to see what happens in the entire world, to be honest. Because you literally have, what is it, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and BlackRock all in bed together behind this thing right now, all in danger, serious danger. And it's like, okay, so does that mean Bank of America is just gone? Well, then they get bailed out, and that's going to cause more inflation later on, probably. But for the most part, what is it? Bank of America owns Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch is connected to BlackRock, and they all have a stake in this going down right now. I need to read into that a little more, that connection. I know the connection's there. I just want to know. What's Apple looking like? Sorry about that, Craig. Craig, are you still here? Craig, tell me you're still here. Craig, tell me you're still here. I will look at Apple, I swear. Apple, for the most part, you're looking at daily signals here. All right, you're seeing a moment where you really look like you had some kind of cupping and handling, right? This looks like a good macro signal to break out and head higher. The only problem is with this, right? We're seeing this good behavior. It is pretty good, like a V, 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 V. It looks good. The only problem with this is the thing with the SPY right now. You see a reversal signal on the SPY, you see a reversal signal for volatility at the same time. So that tells me if the SPY and the Qs are going to suffer, is Apple just going to explode? Most likely not. Most likely the SPY and the Qs is going to be a turn down for a specific reason. Maybe the rate cuts, maybe something bad coming out, the reason for those rate cuts having to increase. So it tells me, yeah, I can take a chance with it. Right? Daily turned up. Hey, awesome positivity, right? If you're playing the daily swing trade signals, this looks fantastic, doesn't it? Right? We have the swing trading course down there. It looks great. We have to admit that. But I want to say this. This is where management of the trade and why I want people to go look at that again over the weekend. Just do me a favor, go look at that again over the weekend. Because if this 2-hour crosses down, that's not a good sign. Right? If this 2-hour crosses down, that's not a good sign. Am I even seeing, maybe I want to go even closer, am I seeing a signal that could turn this 2-hour down? Well, not necessarily, right? I'm just seeing that 30-minute kind of base out like this. So I'm more so leaning towards this for Apple if it's going to see more positivity. Even if it is going to see more positivity, I think it still pulls back to retest that 225.84. And then if you're going to see positivity, that curls up. Awesome. The 30 minutes curled up and I have daily momentum behind me. Could be a great move. That's how I'd read into Apple. Sorry, I had to chug some water. I got to go get some water today. Our water started to taste funky here. Watch out for Lucy. You do have 30-minute divergence, but is this confirmed yet? No, right? We're just pointing it out in case it happens, guys, right? It doesn't mean it has to reverse, but this is showing weakness on the 30-minute if this crosses down. If this MACD crosses down, you're seeing it very clearly on the RSI. You're seeing it very clearly on the MACD telling you, hey, there could be a 2-hour pullback, and that would make total sense. Look how that is really scaling up. Now, if Lucy has some kind of short seller problem or something like that, and that is coming to light, it looks like it's breaking above that 200. A pullback would be, if this is going to behave normally, a pullback would be the most logical thing, because we're very overbought in the daily, we're very overbought in a 2-hour, we're very overbought in a 30-minute with reversal signals. So a 2-hour pullback would make a lot of sense. A daily pullback would make sense here too. But if this is just skyrocketing because of some kind of problem or something like that, maybe that is what you're seeing at this moment. Why do I have little drawings down here? Does that make sense, Fardis? Like a regular stock, you have to know if it has that short seller problem in it, which I believe was May when GME popped off. May, so it probably has the short seller problem, right? You can just go look. If it looks a little bit like GME when it popped off, well, then it probably has the same problem. So Lucy can keep going. You're seeing that really scale up. That can really damage those short sellers in their other positions too, like in GME, AMC, maybe even things like, I don't know, what? What's that other one everyone was always looking at? There was one more everyone was always looking at. I think it started with an F. Oh yeah, also I want to take a poll. I'm going to take a poll real quick. Gotta go here, gotta go here. DJT and FFIE, right? Okay, so DJT is 1. And DJT hit our buy zone and then tried to bounce and failed dramatically. So that's interesting. That's not seeing a pop. But FFIE, this one here, it'd be interesting to see if these things start to pop. That's what I'd be paying attention to, but we'll see. Finger Oh, golly. Did I just say, oh, golly? Am I getting old? Okay. I wanted to take a quick poll here. I just want to see. We just got to do it for marketing purposes. I have to see if people are more, because that I'm just going to tell you right now, that thumbnail really did well. I think it was very clear and concise. So I wanted to see if you guys like the clarity of it. I more like the, I guess clickability. I guess, do you like it? Yeah, there you go. SPY about to bounce off the 566 level. As of right now, you're still just seeing if this 30-minute can curl up by the end of the day. That's the main thing. This is the level to retest, right? A breakout area, right? We broke above that high. Awesome. So this is the first real test, I think. Fill the gap down in these areas. Well, you could have options expiration, so we could just see a move like this, and then come Monday, we actually start to fall. So we'll see. There's a lot that can happen as long as we're positioned correctly and you're managing trades. That's why I suggested, again, I'm just going to keep saying it today, managing the trade is in the course, in the description. That's actually mainly in both, but using technical indicators will really be helpful. You can still get those, by the way. I'm just leaving the sale up because obviously more and more stuff keeps going on. So I'm leaving the sale up just for a little bit longer. I'm still debating whether or not I want to keep it till the end of 2025. Maybe we can take a vote on that soon. But for the most part, you can really learn how to swing trade and how to trade in any market. You use these ranges, use those indicators for just $150 total. If you only want to take the using indicators one, I think that one's the most important one. If you can really understand that, I think you'll end up being a good trader, especially with the management of the trade. So that's just something you can do over the weekend. On. I don't think I've ever looked at this. Well, my take on this is it looks very similar to the SPY right now, right? Hourly divergence, 30-minute divergence is popping up. Those are going to curl down 2 hours, right? So it has the 30-minute divergence is there. We can obviously see that up, right? But the indicator is down. The indicator is down, right? So we know the divergence is there on a 30-minute. Is it showing us something on the 2 hour? Not really the best divergence. You do have a little one here. So that has confirmed down. So most likely this will be heading lower, maybe to test this kind of area here, right? Kind of lines up with this high. So somewhere in this little box. But that's what I'd be paying attention to. See if that 2 hour can get down and curl back up. That could mean a little bit more upside. And then you'll pay attention in case that timing was just a little bit off. But for the most part, you do have a little bit of 2 hour divergence. So you got to be aware if this daily time frame starts to curl down. The daily time frame does have those divergences as well. So it just tells you that even a stock like this right now is showing that weakness in momentum. Timing is everything. So if that 2 hour signal is going to just, keep going down, but maybe we see a blip up, well, then you're going to see this 30-minute curl up. Right, we're going to see this 30-minute curl up. It's still kind of by that center line. We're coming into a key level, which I think another better key level is just a little bit lower, but you can create maybe this and then curl down to that level and see what happens. Right, you just get a little curl up and curl down. But if this does curl up, it means positivity until that curls back down. Does that help? Yeah. I like the look of the stock actually for downside plays. It just looks like it might have a few more rip-ups. But for now, you're getting confirmation of some signals. Your old thumbnail is iconic. Maybe I'll have to, I'll add Jerome Powell in a clown suit to my new one or something. Just pop his head up in the corner or something. Or maybe we'll use that thumbnail when Jerome Powell's talking. Let's do that. I just like the cleanliness of the thumbnail. I think it looks clean. Lulu, when we go look at this, again, another steep 30-minute divergence there. Great entry here. Let's see this price right here. And now it's not a negative bar. You really want to wait for that negative bar. Okay, so 271.73 I think was the great entry. and then you're already almost 10 points lower. Did that curl down the 2 hour? Yes, it did. So this is going to tell me, hey, I can be a little bit confident with this. I do have some divergence on the RSI. I do have some divergence across the way. And this overall looks pretty flaggy, doesn't it? Right? If I kind of take, not necessarily this, because that's kind of a deep, deep moment, but I want to do something like this. If I do something like that and I clone it, does that kind of add up to something? And I think this is what I would overall do. Maybe even come in a little bit lower, right? So do something like that. But we'll just take it at the high here. It's more so, it's no flag's usually a perfect flag, but it's more so just saying, like, is this controlled in some way? And it looks pretty damn controlled. So as this 2 hour curls down, we'd be looking for, does this hold up at these levels, turn back up? Does this hold up on this MACD and turn back up? Because then you can go do something like Tesla's look and look something like that. That's more of the signal I'd pay attention to. You do have some sort of reversal here, but it could just be that handle being created to curl up one more time. I learned so much from your course, and that's why I felt confident on buying at the dip today. Hey, that's fantastic. Just make sure we're managing whatever trade we take. Make sure we're always thinking of how the trade can go wrong. All right. Now, guys, I do have a lunch set up. I know that things are curling down, and I do have some things to get to today because my place was kind of on lockdown for the week. I had to really take a step back from everything, so I have a lot of stuff to catch up on, but I'm going to go get me some pho to start off my day. So I wanted to just say thank you guys so much for joining. I hope that today was genuinely helpful. Make sure you are subscribed if you are new here, because we're going to go over some of the macro signals on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we're going to give you the updated ranges, right? We're going to give you the updated weekly expected moves. That's the purple lines. We land in this zone 68% of the time. Notice when we come out of it, what do we do on Friday? We land back in it 68% of the time, and we'll give you those updated daily expected moves for Monday, and we'll look at what's happening over the weekend. All right, I'm sorry I do have to pop off. I know it's only like one stream for the whole week. It's sad, I hate it, but I really do have to catch up on some things. So I do genuinely appreciate you guys being here today, and I hope you have a great day. Good luck on your trip. Oh my gosh, I have the hiccup is at the end of the freaking stream now. But yeah, we want to be paying attention to some key things that are happening. Is the 2 hour actually confirming over? And pointing out the PCC, this is always going to be good to watch, see if people get overzealous to the call side as the dollar is showing those bottoming signals. So thank you guys so much for joining. Good luck on your trades with the rest of your day, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on YouTube. Peace! Put you guys on a 30-minute. How about that?